pension, no savings, no family support. 6 secrets to living independently. After 60, at 60 years old, what happens when there is no pension, no savings, and children are no longer close enough to rely on? How can independence be protected and life still be lived with meaning and dignity? This is not a rare question. It is a hidden fear and a reality that many older adults face every single day. The challenge is not only financial but emotional, because aging often brings the quiet doubt of whether one's value is still recognized. So how can self-worth be affirmed when the years are advancing? In today's video, 6 essential lessons will be shared, each one drawn from science, real life, and timeless wisdom. The secret lies in the final lesson, the one that binds everything together. Before we begin, leave a comment below and let us know where you are watching from. And be sure to stay with us until the very end to discover which of these 6 steps fit your life and how they can be applied right now. Let's begin this journey together. Number 1. Preserve health as the greatest asset. What truly secures independence when pensions are absent, savings are scarce, and family support cannot be guaranteed? The answer rests in health. Strong muscles, steady balance, clear memory, and calm emotions form a wealth that no market crash can erase. Without health, even fortune loses meaning. With health, life retains freedom, dignity, and possibility. Scientific research has consistently shown that small, steady actions sustain longevity. The National Institute on Aging reports that engaging in 150 minutes of moderate physical activity each week reduces the risk of cardiovascular disease and stroke by nearly 30%. Just 20 to 30 minutes of walking daily lowers blood pressure, sharpens thinking, and improves mobility. Even light gardening or dancing in the living room keeps joints supple and spirits high. Movement, in every form, is a daily deposit into the account of independence. Nutrition stands as a second pillar. Harvard Medical School emphasizes that diets rich in vegetables, fruits, whole grains, and lean proteins lower the likelihood of diabetes, osteoporosis, and high blood pressure. Food is both nourishment and medicine. A widow in Kentucky, once burdened by fatigue and chronic pain, began buying fresh produce from her local market. By trading processed meals for beans, leafy greens, and whole grains, she reduced her blood pressure medication and regained energy to walk to church and visit friends. Her story illustrates that the right foods can extend freedom and vitality. Mental health shapes resilience as powerfully as physical habits. Stanford University researchers demonstrate that gratitude practices and mindfulness reduce stress hormones and strengthen the immune system. Writing 3 simple notes of gratitude each evening, such as noticing a bird's song or a warm cup of tea, gradually reshapes outlook and lowers anxiety. Over time, these small reflections fortify emotional strength and restore social engagement. Restful sleep provides another foundation. Studies from the University of California, Berkeley, confirm that adults over 65 who achieve 7 to 8 hours of sleep each night maintain sharper memory, quicker reflexes, and steadier moods. In contrast, poor sleep is associated with increased risk of falls, depression, and cognitive decline. Consistent routines, dim lighting in the evening, and avoiding caffeine late in the day promote restorative rest. Safety must not be overlooked. The Centers for Disease Control and Prevention reports that 1 in 4 Americans over 65 experiences a fall each year, yet most falls can be prevented. Clear walkways, secure rugs, grab bars in bathrooms, and supportive shoes dramatically reduce risk. In Michigan, 1 woman eliminated night falls by adding hallway lights and attending balance classes at her community center. 5 years without a fall restored her confidence and proved that prevention preserves independence. Health is not a passive state but an active investment. Exercise, nutrition, mindfulness, sleep, and safety are deposits into a lifelong account that guarantees strength when financial resources may fail. Unlike fluctuating markets, these returns are reliable and within reach at any age. Begin with one simple action: a 20-minute walk, an added serving of vegetables, a journal entry of gratitude, or a safer living space. Small steps grow into habits, and habits grow into independence. Health remains the greatest asset, the truest pension, and the surest guarantee of dignity in later years. Preserving it ensures that life, regardless of savings or family support, continues to offer freedom, meaning, and peace. Number two, maintain financial independence in practical ways. Warren Buffett once said, "Do not save what is left after spending, but spend what is left after saving." Oprah Winfrey, who rose from poverty to become one of the most influential women in the world, declared, "The biggest adventure you can ever take is to live the life of your dreams." These words remind us that financial independence is not only about wealth, but about mindset, discipline, and courage. Even in later years, without a pension or savings, independence can be nurtured through practical choices and creative action. Consider the story of Colonel Harlan Sanders. At the age of 65, with nothing but a Social Security check of just over $100, he began traveling across the country, knocking on restaurant doors with his fried chicken recipe. After countless rejections, he finally built what would become Kentucky Fried Chicken. His story is not about fast food alone. It is about the courage to create income from skill, even when resources were scarce. This lesson speaks directly to older adults today. Age is not a barrier to financial reinvention, but often the doorway to it. The numbers in America reveal both the challenge and the opportunity. According to AARP, nearly 1 in 4 older adults over 60 has little to no retirement savings, and the average Social Security benefit is about $1,900 per month. These figures can create fear, yet they also highlight the importance of practical strategies that stretch resources and sustain dignity. Awareness is the foundation. Just as Buffett insists that clarity in finances determines long-term security, older adults benefit from knowing exactly where their money goes each month. Creating a simple budget transforms vague anxiety into actionable steps. The Consumer Financial Protection Bureau notes that seniors who actively track spending reduce unnecessary costs by up to 15%. That margin, though small, can mean groceries covered, medicines purchased, or a utility bill paid on time. Reducing expenses becomes the second pathway. Oprah Winfrey's journey from a small home in Mississippi to a media empire was marked by discipline and sacrifice. She often shared that the ability to delay gratification was one of her greatest tools. For older adults, downsizing to a smaller home, choosing a community with lower taxes, or eliminating unused subscriptions can unlock the same principle. One retired couple in Florida described selling their large home as freedom, not loss. Their rent and utilities were cut in half, and they found joy in a simpler lifestyle closer to friends and services. Creating new income streams adds another layer of independence. Colonel Sanders proved that passion can become livelihood, even late in life. Across America, older adults are turning hobbies into income, selling crafts online, tutoring, consulting, or offering childcare. In Colorado, a retired nurse began hosting community health workshops. The income paid for groceries, but more importantly, it restored her sense of contribution. The Bureau of Labor Statistics reports that 27% of adults between 65 and 74 remain in the workforce, proof that productivity does not retire with age. Resources exist that often go unused. The National Council on Aging reveals that nearly half of eligible seniors never apply for benefits such as Supplemental Nutrition Assistance, SNAP, or Energy Assistance Programs. These supports can add hundreds of dollars to a monthly budget. Financial independence does not mean refusing help. It means using every available tool to stay secure. Psychology also shapes financial resilience. Behavioral economics research shows that perspective influences choices. Viewing money as a tool for freedom rather than a measure of failure changes spending habits. Cooperative strategies like carpooling, meal sharing, or trading skills with neighbors revive traditions of thrift and community support that once defined American life. Technology creates modern possibilities. Online platforms allow seniors to sell items, teach skills, or even manage part-time consulting from home. A 72-year-old retired accountant in Illinois began preparing taxes online. His modest earnings supplemented Social Security while keeping his mind active and his professional identity alive. Just as Oprah embraced television in a new era, older adults can embrace digital tools to sustain independence. The emotional rewards of financial independence extend beyond money. Anxiety over bills raises blood pressure and weakens the immune system, while even modest stability restores peace of mind. Building an emergency fund of just a few $100s can reduce stress dramatically. Financial counselors stress that progress, no matter how small, creates a sense of control, and control nurtures health. The path forward may begin with one action: writing down expenses, seeking community assistance, exploring a part-time role, or turning a skill into income. Each choice, though small, builds the foundation of independence. The lives of Buffett, Oprah, and Sanders remind us that independence is not a gift of circumstance, but a product of discipline, imagination, and persistence. Bills on the table may stir fear, yet they can also ignite resolve. With resilience, creativity, and courage, financial independence in old age is possible. It is not measured only in dollars, but in the ability to live with dignity, to make choices freely, and to turn each day into an act of self-respect. Number 3, develop new skills and keep learning. At the age of 74, Clara, a grandmother from Minnesota, walked into a community college classroom for the first time in decades. Her hands trembled slightly as she gripped a notebook, worried that she might not keep up with younger students. Yet she had always dreamed of learning Spanish, and she decided that age would no longer silence that dream. Within months, she was reading short stories, practicing conversations with classmates, and even writing letters in her new language. The transformation was not only in her vocabulary, but in her spirit. Clara often said that learning again made her feel alive, as though she had stepped into a second youth. Stories like Clara's are not rare. Across the United States, older adults are proving that learning is not confined to youth, but remains a lifelong source of vitality. Neuroscience supports this truth. Research from the University of California, Irvine, shows that engaging in new and challenging activities strengthens neural connections, enhances memory, and slows cognitive decline. Just as muscles grow stronger with use, the brain thrives on novelty and effort. The benefits of lifelong learning extend beyond memory. A study from the Mayo Clinic found that older adults who participated in mentally stimulating activities, such as learning a new language, practicing music, or using modern technology, had a 30% lower risk of developing dementia compared with those who did not. Each new skill is more than an achievement. It is a form of protection. Beyond brain health, learning fosters confidence and independence. A retired postal worker in Arizona joined a computer class at his senior center after years of avoiding technology. Within months, he was emailing friends, managing online banking, and even video calling his granddaughter across the country. What once felt like a barrier became a bridge, connecting him to the wider world and restoring a sense of control. Psychology also highlights the emotional power of learning. Pursuing new knowledge nurtures curiosity, sparks joy, and combats the monotony that sometimes accompanies retirement. Engaging the mind creates a sense of progress, a feeling that life is still moving forward. Even small steps, such as reading history books, practicing photography, or experimenting with new recipes, carry this effect. Communities across America offer rich opportunities for learning. Public libraries host free lectures. Universities welcome senior learners through lifelong education programs, and local organizations offer classes in art, dance, and writing. Technology has opened even more doors, with online platforms providing access to courses in every subject imaginable. The barrier is rarely opportunity. It is often hesitation. Yet every person who takes the first step discovers that curiosity does not retire with age. The path toward lifelong learning begins with a single choice. It may be registering for a class, buying a book in an unfamiliar subject, or joining a group that shares a common interest. Small beginnings lead to unexpected journeys. The key is to challenge the mind regularly, not only to preserve memory, but to nourish the soul. Developing new skills is more than education, it is transformation. It turns fear into confidence, isolation into connection, and aging into expansion. Each lesson learned, each challenge embraced, is a declaration that life remains abundant with possibility. Learning keeps the mind young, the spirit engaged, and the heart open to the promise of tomorrow. Number 4, rebuild social connections. The chair scrapes against the kitchen floor. A kettle whistles faintly, and a pair of hands tremble as they fold the same newspaper that has already been read twice. Outside, children ride bicycles, neighbors call out to each other, and dogs bark at passing cars. Inside, only silence answers. A phone rests on the counter, untouched, the dial tone echoing louder in memory than in reality. No calls are expected, no visitors are planned. This scene plays out in countless American homes, where aging brings not only frailty of body, but also the heavy ache of isolation. Yet within this stillness lies the possibility of change, for connection can be rebuilt at any age. Loneliness is not a passing feeling, it is a public health crisis. The U.S. Surgeon General recently compared social isolation to smoking 15 cigarettes a day in terms of its impact on health. Brigham Young University researchers found that chronic loneliness raises the risk of premature death by 26%. It is linked with higher rates of heart disease, stroke, depression, and cognitive decline. In fact, the National Institute on Aging reports that loneliness accelerates memory loss more than any other lifestyle factor. The absence of connection is not just painful, it is dangerous. The hopeful truth is that reconnection remains possible. One widow in Ohio, once resigned to mornings alone, joined a community walking group at her local park. On the first day, she walked slowly at the back, unsure if she belonged. By the third week, someone reached for her arm to match her pace, and by the third month, she described her mornings as the highlight of her week. Her blood pressure improved, her mood lifted, and laughter once again filled her days. Walking was not just exercise, it was a bridge back into life. In Michigan, a retired factory worker signed up for a woodworking class at his senior center. He had spent years in silence, convinced he had nothing left to offer. Sawdust clung to his clothes as he carved simple boxes, but more importantly, conversations clung to his heart. Fellow classmates became friends, and each project ended with coffee and stories. He often said the workshop gave him more than skill, it gave him back his smile. Connection can also come through faith and service. Across the country, churches, synagogues, and mosques remain gathering places where older adults find belonging. A widower in Texas joined a church choir after years of grief. His voice shook at first, but the harmonies lifted him, and the friendships held him steady. Singing became both prayer and therapy, replacing solitude with shared purpose. For those unable to travel easily, technology opens unexpected doors. Video calls connect grandparents with grandchildren across states, and online communities allow friendships to flourish regardless of distance. A woman in California who once feared computers now attends a virtual poetry group each week. She reads her verses aloud, receives encouragement from strangers turned friends, and feels her world expand far beyond her living room walls. Psychology explains why these experiences matter. Social bonds release oxytocin, the hormone of trust and calm, which reduces stress and lowers inflammation. Conversations stimulate the prefrontal cortex, keeping memory sharper and reaction times quicker. Even light-hearted laughter reduces cortisol, the stress hormone, protecting the heart. Human connection is more than companionship. It is medicine woven into everyday moments. Rebuilding connection often requires courage. Fear of rejection or habit of withdrawal can make reaching out difficult, yet small actions hold great power. Attending a library event, joining a fitness class, volunteering at a food pantry, or simply inviting a neighbor for coffee can open doors. Research from the University of Michigan shows that volunteering not only reduces depression but also extends life expectancy. Service to others becomes a gift returned in health and happiness. Safety also emerges from connection. Older adults with strong social networks recover more quickly from illness, face lower risks of falls due to encouragement in staying active, and report higher confidence in managing daily tasks. Belonging strengthens not only the heart but the body itself. The first step may feel daunting, but imagination can make it real. Picture walking into a room filled with voices, laughter rising in the air, chairs gathered in a circle. Picture the warmth of someone remembering a name, or the comfort of hearing, "See you next week." These are not distant dreams. They are everyday realities waiting just beyond the doorstep. Rebuilding connection is not about filling silence with noise. It is about rediscovering identity through fellowship, about remembering that life is meant to be shared, whether through faith, learning, service, or friendship. The presence of others restores the rhythm of living. Connection is not lost forever. It can be rebuilt with one step, one word, one shared moment. In the embrace of community, aging ceases to feel like retreat and becomes renewal. Solitude transforms into harmony, and each day regains its color. Connection is not merely survival, it is the very essence of thriving. Number 5, build a new purpose in life. Imagine a quiet morning years into the future. The house is still, the phone does not ring, and the calendar holds no appointments. Without a reason to rise, the hours stretch long and empty. Days like this can feel heavy, not because of pain or illness, but because of the absence of purpose. Yet within this emptiness lies the chance to rediscover meaning and transform aging into a season of renewal. Modern psychology shows that purpose is as vital to health as exercise and nutrition. The Harvard Study of Adult Development, one of the longest-running studies in the world, demonstrates that adults who maintain goals and responsibilities live longer, experience less depression, and show stronger memory in advanced age. Purpose provides a framework for resilience. It is the anchor that steadies the mind when financial or family support is uncertain. Purpose can take many forms. For some, it emerges through service. A retired teacher in Wisconsin found herself restless after leaving the classroom. Instead of withdrawing, she began tutoring children at a local library 2 afternoons a week. Her modest role in guiding young readers not only helped the children but restored her sense of identity. She often said that those library afternoons gave her more energy than any vitamin. For others, purpose blooms through creativity. A former mechanic in Oregon discovered painting in his 70s. What began as a simple class at a senior center became a passion that filled his walls with color and drew neighbors together for weekly art gatherings. Neuroscience confirms that new purpose stimulates the brain in measurable ways. Studies from Johns Hopkins University reveal that older adults who volunteer or pursue new learning show increased activity in brain regions linked to memory and emotional regulation. Purpose literally rewires the mind, reducing risks of dementia while elevating mood. Spiritual and community life can also nurture meaning. Many Americans find belonging in church groups, meditation circles, or community choirs. The act of gathering, singing, or praying creates bonds that replace loneliness with connection. A widower in Texas who once described himself as invisible found new light by joining a church choir. Even though his voice trembled at first, the friendships and shared music revived his spirit and gave him a reason to look forward to every Sunday. Purpose does not require grandeur. Small rituals, watering plants, writing letters, cooking for neighbors can bring profound satisfaction. The key is consistency. When the day holds at least one task that matters, whether to self or others, life retains direction. As one psychologist observed, the human spirit does not thrive on comfort alone. It thrives on responsibility. The path toward renewed purpose begins with imagination. Envision mornings that begin not with silence, but with anticipation. Picture stepping into a garden, arriving at a community center, or greeting a friend for a walk. These images can become reality with one decision to engage. Starting small is enough. Signing up for a class, volunteering for a few hours a week, or setting a personal project creates momentum that transforms routine into meaning. Purpose is not a privilege reserved for youth. It is a medicine for every stage of life, especially old age. To build purpose is to choose vitality over stagnation, contribution over isolation, and meaning over emptiness. With purpose, aging becomes not a slow retreat, but a new beginning rich with dignity, connection, and hope. Number 6, choose yourself and protect self-respect. Ralph Waldo Emerson once wrote, "To be yourself in a world that is constantly trying to make you something else is the greatest accomplishment." These words hold particular meaning in later life, when years of sacrifice for family, work, and duty may leave older adults questioning their own worth. Choosing oneself is not an act of selfishness, but of survival. It is the foundation of dignity, and it becomes most urgent when financial resources are thin and family support grows distant. History is filled with individuals who discovered strength only after they stopped waiting for others to grant it. Eleanor Roosevelt, often remembered for her tireless service, once said, "No one can make you feel inferior without your consent." She knew well the loneliness of being overlooked and the struggle of stepping into her own voice. Yet by claiming her self-respect, she transformed from a timid figure into one of the most powerful advocates of human rights. Her example mirrors what aging Americans must remember. Respect does not come from others alone, but from the courage to honor one's own value. Psychology confirms that self-respect protects health. Research from the University of Michigan shows that older adults with high self-esteem report lower rates of depression, greater resilience in the face of illness, and longer life expectancy. Self-respect creates a buffer against the pain of rejection and isolation, allowing individuals to rebuild purpose even when traditional roles such as parent, spouse, or worker shift or fade. Without it, loneliness deepens. With it, loneliness transforms into solitude that nurtures reflection and creativity. The story of Martha, like so many women who gave all to their families, illustrates the power of choosing oneself. After decades of sacrifice and disappointment, she sold her home, moved into a modest apartment, and began again. She no longer waited for phone calls or acknowledgments that might never come. Instead, she built a life filled with small rituals, herbs on the windowsill, letters to herself, flowers bought each Friday. These were not luxuries. They were affirmations of self-worth. Each act whispered, "I matter." Self-respect also means setting boundaries. Many older adults fear becoming a burden and thus overextend themselves, giving money or labor even when their own health suffers. Yet research from Stanford University shows that setting healthy boundaries reduces stress, preserves physical well-being, and fosters healthier relationships. A retired carpenter in New York once shared that after years of lending money to children who rarely repaid him, he finally said no. At first, guilt weighed heavily, but soon he discovered peace. His children adjusted, and he rediscovered the dignity of living within his means. Protecting self-respect is not isolation from others. It is the platform from which authentic connection grows. When identity rests on self-worth rather than external approval, relationships flourish with mutual respect. Community groups, friendships, and even family ties grow stronger when older adults engage not from desperation but from a place of dignity. Spiritual traditions across America echo this truth, whether through Christian teachings of the inherent worth of every soul, Native American wisdom emphasizing harmony with self, or the meditative practices brought by immigrant cultures. The message remains. Self-respect is sacred. To honor oneself is to honor the life given and the years yet to come. Practical steps strengthen this choice. Daily affirmations of worth spoken aloud or written rewire the brain toward positive identity, as confirmed by research from Carnegie Mellon University. Engaging in activities that spark joy, whether painting, gardening, or singing, reinforces the truth that joy does not require permission. Even small gestures of self-care, like preparing a favorite meal or taking a mindful walk, declare independence. The hardest shift often lies in releasing regret. Many older adults carry the weight of past mistakes or the sorrow of unfulfilled dreams. Yet psychologists emphasize that forgiveness of self restores mental health and allows dignity to thrive. Choosing oneself includes choosing to let go, to embrace the present rather than living in the shadow of the past. Imagine a morning where the first thought is not of what others expect, but of what will bring peace and fulfillment that day. Perhaps it is writing in a journal, perhaps it is meeting a friend, perhaps it is simply savoring quiet with a cup of tea. These moments are not trivial. They are the essence of choosing oneself. Pensions may vanish, savings may dwindle, children may grow distant, but dignity remains an inheritance no one can take. To choose oneself is to protect that inheritance. It is to live each day with the assurance that life still holds value, not because of what is received, but because of who one is. Self-respect is the final and most enduring pillar of independence. It transforms aging from decline into renewal, from invisibility into presence, from silence into strength. In the words of Eleanor Roosevelt, no one can strip it away without consent. The choice, therefore, belongs to each individual. Choose dignity, choose peace, choose life above all. Choose yourself. Life in older age often raises difficult questions. What happens when pensions are gone, savings are thin, and children are unable or unwilling to provide support? Fear often follows this thought, but the journey we have explored together reveals something liberating. Independence in old age is not only possible, it is deeply meaningful when built on health, financial resilience, learning, connection, purpose, and above all, self-respect. The first lesson taught us that health is the greatest asset. Without it, wealth loses meaning, but with it, even modest circumstances feel rich. Daily walks strengthen the heart, balanced meals fuel the body, restorative sleep sharpens the mind, and fall prevention protects independence. Health becomes a pension that pays dividends every single day, regardless of bank accounts or inheritance. The second lesson reminded us that financial independence, even without great wealth, is within reach through practical choices: budgeting, downsizing, seeking benefits, and creating new income streams turn limited resources into security. Stories of retirees selling crafts online, tutoring children, or finding peace in smaller homes prove that independence is not measured by the size of an account, but by the creativity and courage to adapt. As Warren Buffett once said, "Do not save what is left after spending, but spend what is left after saving." Independence is built on discipline and wise choices, not on fortune alone. The third lesson celebrated lifelong learning. At 74, Clara stepped into a Spanish class and discovered not just new words, but a renewed spirit. Science confirms that new skills preserve memory, reduce dementia risk, and bring joy. Whether through music, art, technology, or literature, learning keeps the mind sharp and the heart young. Curiosity has no expiration date, and every new lesson is proof that life still holds adventures. The fourth lesson revealed that connection is essential medicine. Loneliness carries risks as severe as smoking, yet connection can be rebuilt at any age. Walking groups, woodworking classes, choirs, or even virtual poetry clubs bring laughter, conversation, and trust. Human bonds lower stress, strengthen the immune system, and remind us that life is meant to be shared. One handshake, one smile, one simple conversation can restore hope. The fifth lesson showed that purpose transforms existence. Purpose might come from tutoring children, volunteering at a food pantry, or planting a garden. Purpose gives mornings meaning, builds resilience, and extends life itself. Research proves that adults with strong purpose live longer, healthier lives. Aging without purpose feels like retreat, but aging with purpose becomes renewal, a chance to contribute and to feel alive again. The sixth and final lesson brought us back to the core: self-respect. Eleanor Roosevelt once said, "No one can make you feel inferior without your consent." Choosing oneself is not selfish. It is the foundation of dignity. Self-respect means setting boundaries, forgiving regrets, and claiming joy through small rituals, whether a favorite meal, a journal of gratitude, or flowers by the window. Self-respect is the inheritance no one can take away, the anchor that steadies the spirit through every storm. Together, these 6 lessons form not just advice, but a blueprint for living fully. They affirm that aging is not fading away, but expanding into new dimensions of freedom, dignity, and peace. Health, financial independence, learning, connection, purpose, and self-respect are choices available every day, regardless of age or circumstance. So the question remains, which choice will begin today? A short walk, a phone call, a class, a budget, a volunteer shift, or a simple affirmation of worth. Every action is a step toward independence. If this journey has touched your heart, let it be shared. Leave a comment with the lesson that spoke to you most. If you have not subscribed to our channel yet, subscribe now to continue receiving stories filled with wisdom and inspiration. Thank you for watching, and may your day be filled with health, peace, and small joys that remind you life is still abundant. We look forward to seeing you in our next video with more lessons worth living by.